everyone would please take their seats and get ready. We're about to start. Shabbat Shalom. So we have a lot of excitement today. Are we ready? Welcome, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. We had a wonderful dinner, our third Friday dinner. Thank you to Marcia Crabtree and all those that helped her in preparing that. And we are now going to prepare for Shabbat. So another deep breath in and a deep breath out. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How wonderful it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together, page 128 in your Siddur. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to dedicate this evening's service to Howard Bud Friedman. The family is here to help celebrate. We have a lot to do. We have Lynn Cantu, graciously, a member of our board, financial secretary, donated a tribe in Bud's honor, so we're going to be dedicating that. And then we have a leaf as well. So I would like to call forward the ladies of the Alan Sherman group and Friedman group to come forward and kindle the lights of Shabbat. So we're just going to stand right over there and light the candles. And yeah. And so the candles represent that divine partnership. And Bud and Essie loved everything Judaic. They loved Shabbat. And the kindling of the lights at this time is something that we do that's tradition, and that keeps us connected. So that light within our own being connects to the divine light and the light of the partnership between two loving partners, and also the relationship, the partnership between Am Yisrael and Adonai. If you are counting the Omer, this was the 34th day of the Omer. We were right after Lag BaOmer yesterday, all day. And we now bring in this light as we continue our dance toward the mountain and Shavuot and the receiving of the commandments. So the candle blessing can be found, I think it's on page 120 if you need it. We make 3 circles, bringing order out of the chaos. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Turn to your neighbor and say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Give him a hug if you want, or an elbow rub. And when we think of Shabbat, I can't help but think of Bud Friedman's tuna salad and his egg salad. And sometimes when we used to have lunches here after a Saturday service, I'm like, Bud, please bring your tuna salad and your egg salad. Or, yeah, remember? And then, and he loved the whitefish salad at Costco. And so when I go for lunch there, and we would be back in the day, I'm going to start crying with the Ziskins. Marilyn and Hirsch will always be there. And we'd have whitefish salad. I think one time he invited me over for king crab legs. I'm not, yeah. Yes, a man after my own heart, which is very funny because When I first came to the South Bay, Bud was one of the first people who greeted me because we had to, Essie was in the hospital, his beloved wife of blessed memory, and also Mitch Levine's mother. And I remember we were doing everything for the funeral, and for Mitch's mom, and we went to have lunch on the pier in Redondo, and my contract didn't start until July 1st, but the rabbi, I was the cantor, went to Russia and left me the congregation to take care of 2.5 weeks earlier. So in the middle of all my move, I was in the middle of doing all this, and so Bud's like, I got to take you to lunch. So we're on the Redondo Pier, and he goes, you see that over there? And I said, yeah. And he goes, the little lobsters and the crabs in the case? And he said, if you eat that stuff, don't tell anyone. His first words of advice to me, I said, well, when I had my interview and my audition, I made it very clear what I eat and don't eat, but my house is kosher. So that being said, we are going to sing Shalom Aleichem on page 142. And we're giving you all the old melodies, because we've been doing some new ones, just to make you feel good. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Minelech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Seichem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, Melech, malachei hamelachim hakadosh baruch Hu. And we welcome in the Shabbos angels. And my daughter and the family, as most of you know, moved to New Jersey, so they called me, because they're 3 hours ahead, on the way to go to Shabbos with her in-laws. And there's a song by One Republic now called The West Coast. And so I debated about if I should send it to them, so I told Alyssa, I cannot hold myself back. We need to play this for Ella, my granddaughter, who's going to be 3 in July, because this grandma's on the West Coast, and she's moved to the East Coast. And so they're driving for Shabbat, and I'm thinking of L'cha Dodi and how we welcome in the Sabbath ride and all that, and the little angels. And this little angel says, Grandma, Grandma, I've been dreaming of the West Coast. She goes, I'm singing that song for you. I'm like, oh, I love you, Shabbat Shalom. So now if you will turn to page 138, us here on the West Coast are going to welcome in the Shabbos angels that we just did, and now the Sabbath bride. And when we do the chorus, get excited. Spread your spiritual wings and fly. L'cha Dodi, page 138. L'cha Dodi, l'ikrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nekabla. L'cha Dodi, l'ikrat kala, panei panei Shabbat nekabla. La 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 l'cha Dodi, l'ikrat kala, panei panei. Verse 1. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi anu el hamichad, Adonai echad, Shemo echad, L'Shem l'tiferet v'levi la 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 Dodi, l'ikrat kala, Panei panei Shabbat nekabla. L'cha Dodi, l'ikrat kala, Panei panei Shabbat nekabla. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orek liori, ri shidaveri, keva likrat kala, tanei Shabbat nekabala. Laha laha jodi, likrat kala, tanei Shabbat nekabala. Verse 9. V'wi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha v'sochola, t'chananei am segula, v'moichala v'oichala. Lacha lacha dodi, likrat kala, tanei Shabbat nekabala. Lacha lacha dodi, likrat kala, tanei Shabbat nekabala. Tanei Shabbat nekabala. Tanei Shabbat nekabala. Woo! Please be seated. And some rose to welcome in the Sabbath bride, and others sit. Whatever's good for you is good for God. And so now if you'll turn in your prayer books, we're going to do the reading at the bottom of page 145, then the Hatzi Kaddish on 144, which separates our Kabbalat Shabbat spiritual warm-up from the official call to worship, the Baruch Hu. So together, the bottom of 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without the presence. Yitkada v'yikada shmei Rava, ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei v'chovei Yisrael, v'gala v'bizman karibi merum. Yehi Shemei Rava Mevarach, Le'alam Lo Me'amaya. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, V'yitfa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yidaleh, V'yithalal, Shemei Dekudashah, V'rechu. Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tishvechata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'yimeru. Amen. And the Baruch Hu can be found on page 146. Please rise as the ark is open if you're able. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Please be seated as the ark is closed. And now if you'll turn in your books, we have our evening prayer, our Ma'ariv, our Ravim on page 148. And let us first read at the top of page 149 together. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. And the text on page 148. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv ararim, bechochma poteach she'arim, ulibuna meshaneh itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Vorayom v'layla, goel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom, umevir layla, umavdil ben yom, uvein layla, Adonai Sevaot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Ararim. And Ahavat Olam on page 150. And let us read on the bottom of the text as they play, our wonderful musicians. Everlasting love you offered your people Yisrael, page 150, by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Yisrael. Ahavat olam ve'Yisrael amcha ahavta amcha. So when we speak of the everlasting love that God has given to us and we respond by being observant of Torah and the rituals, worshiping, getting our song and praise on in our Judaic way. I'm listening to you all, and you have many of you have taken your adult Hebrew classes, and maybe we'll have another one because we have some new members, but you sing so joyously and soulfully in all your phrasing and all the different moments, and it's so beautiful. And I'm looking back at Robin and Steve, and I'm remembering, I'm so grateful that you guys were all here. But during COVID, Robin sent me an email, and she was like, I was so excited, I don't know if you remember this, to have the live stream, and I was singing and dancing. You know, here we are, it's COVID, but I'm singing and dancing, doing all the prayers for Shabbat. And you know, it's such a gift and a blessing, and we have to say, Baruch Hashem, thank you, that we are here together, that we have made it through, and maybe it's not over, but we are people of faith, and as long as we keep doing what we do and singing and praying and showing up, hopefully we'll have something to show up for and to keep it going, Lador Vador, from generation to generation. So now if we go to the Shema, if you like to stand to make that connection to God, please do. If you want to be seated and go into the cocoon of your own being, even if you're at home, just do that and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Adonai Echad. Adonai Echad. Please be seated. So it is said, those of us who all look around at each other, it is said we all were together before at the base of the mountain when the commandments were given at Mount Sinai, which is coming, Shavuot, the beginning of June, and we are all here together right now, thousands of years later, our souls taking the magical mystery tour to find ourselves right here, right now, at this very moment, sharing Shabbat. So we pass this down from generation to generation with the Be'ahafta on page 154, which Bud Friedman and Essie Friedman did so beautifully with their family. So let us read the text on the top of 155 first. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. And I am thinking, Marianne, of Sasha. So our violinist, Marianne, who is going to be in the next fiscal year our executive vice president. She was just, approved and agreed upon on Thursday. And then the next president, when Diane decides to give up her throne. But Sasha, her daughter, has always been connected to her Judaism since she was a little girl. And she was our actual first confirmant and our only confirmant. which is very interesting because my daughter was the only confirmant for a rabbi that was very big. I will not say his name, but some of us are just the one and only, and she gets that kavod. But maybe we'll have some more kids that will want to go that far. But now she wants to be committed to Yerushalayim, to the land of Israel as well. And so we had to write a letter affirming her Judaism. But she's actually the third. So we create order out of the chaos in the universe when we have things in a state of three. So Sierra Holtz needed a letter. Gavin Weintraub needed a letter. And now Sasha Recht needed a letter. So we are, in our own humble way, helping to teach the principles of the Ve'ahavta and to keep these things, this spirit alive in our youth of the future. No matter how it plays out, some become more observant, some don't, but it's there. And that's what it's all about. Page 154. Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשופך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, Emet. And now if you will turn in your books to page 157, we're going to read on the bottom, and then the Michamocha is on the next page, and if you want to get up and dance around and sing and reenact that moment when the sea parted, we didn't know what was going to happen, but we went forward. We knew what was behind us. We didn't know what lied was going to be ahead, but we had faith. So together, let's read. If we think of the world that we have to have faith, and we have to go forward. And if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. We're going to call God with our own being. So together on the bottom of 157. In a world torn by pain, violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Michamocha, page 158. Come on! If you want to do it! Nancy, get in there. Come on, you guys. da da bim bam, yai da 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 da, ya da da bim bam, yai da 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 da, ya da da bim bam. Woo! There's a lot of ruach in this room, a lot of dancers with spirit. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who participated. And so now we have Hashkivenu on page 160. And let us read together underneath the prayer in English as we shift now to asking God to grant us peace and wrap us in a shelter of a loving embrace, and the whole world needs it. So our prayer on this Shabbat is that we will have a Sukkot Shlomecha, a sukkah of peace for us all. We are one humanity sharing this one world we call home. May we have a peaceful coexistence, and that is our prayer on this Shabbos evening. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom, L'Shalom, L'Hamidenu L'Shomrenu L'Chayim, L'Fras Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, L'Fras Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Amen. L'Fras Aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot Shlomecha. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Fros Aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot Shlomecha. And let us read it together on the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai hapares sukkot shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. And that is what we do here at Temple Emet. We walk together as community, yad b'yad, hand in hand together b'yachad. And we're going to do, I told Dan, let's do all the more traditional melodies, because, Bud was a traditional guy. So I think we need to do the Rothblum V'Shamru. V'Shamru. Okay. Just play whatever key you want and we'll find it. Because that's how we roll here. V'Shamru l'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. V'Shamru l'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. B'nei B'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים והארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתם. ביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתם. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We are going to now rise, if we're able to, as the ark is open, for the Amidah on page 164, 166, 168, and it concludes on 170, and we now do the insert for summer. Rise only if you're able. Anananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ananananana Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ananananana, Adonai, Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach, Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'hanora, Elohim, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ekonei Hakol, Ezocher Chasdei Avot, Ve'imahot, U'mevii Ge'ula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Abraham, Ezrat Saram, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'chayei HaKol atah, Rav LeHoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'matir Asurim, U'mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'gevurot, U'mido Melach, Melech Rimi, U'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lechayot hakom, Baruch atah Adonai, L'chayei hametim, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלע, ברך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Our parsha this Shabbat is Behar. Sometimes it's actually a double portion. We get two parshiot in one. In it, we get commands on the importance of rest. Do you feel a little bit more rested? No. Well, we had a nice leisurely dinner, and we turned at our table to say, oh, we have all this time. And then before you know it, it's a mad dash to get up here and do Shabbat. It doesn't matter how much time you have. You always want more time. And that's true about life. No matter how much time we have, especially when we get close to the end, we want more time. And we look back and we see how fast it all goes by. Do you ever feel like that? So in this parsha, we're meant to realize that not only must we rest, but the land itself must rest. There's a sabbatical year and a jubilee year. The jubilee year happens in the 50th year. So some people actually, instead of 60 as a big birthday, do 50. And it is a time of release and freedom in that 50th year. The sabbatical year comes every 7 years. So if a piece of land, property, is lost due to misfortune, so let's say someone couldn't pay and they seized that land and they took it away, it must actually be returned in the Jubilee year to that owner. And slaves that you have are set free. So imagine, we're talking about release, freedom. We all know that this year is coming. In addition to this, rules about how we treat family fairly is discussed. God commands that a brother in trouble, this could also be a sister nowadays, but someone who is a family member in trouble must be treated fairly and with a respect that preserves their dignity. So now those of you with siblings, I was an only child, but I watched two kids that I had that were siblings. So do you think about your dealings? Do you feel like there are moments when it has not been fair on either side? You know, maybe how you treated them, how they treated you. So in our parsha, we are meant to think about this. And it comes during that time between Passover and Shavuot, when we're counting the Omer, and we're supposed to think about what we need to do to redeem ourselves and to evolve ourselves. The Torah is filled with stories of sibling rivalry. Some of them in these tribes had a moment. Joseph, what happened to him? Yes, thrown in a pit by some of those other ones. Yes. So my son calls me this morning. He's like, I'm reading the story of Joseph. Of course, that's his middle name. I'm like, you can connect to Joseph. And also Zechariah, you're Zechariah, the prophet. So, you know, we have this all around us in this Torah and all around us. And so it's very interesting that we're commanded to take care of our brother and sister in a way that promotes dignity and respect, but at the same time, we have all this text in the Torah that talks about quite the opposite. Depends on what book you're in. So the whole living document of it that's lasted over 5,000 years is meant to inform us. We still have work to do on ourselves and on our relationships. A lot of the text also pertains to financial dealings, as we've said, with both land and relationships. So the idea of respect, honor, preserving dignity, all of this comes up over and over and over again. Why? We are meant to be accountable, not only to each other, but even to our land. We are meant to prepare, we're meant to think ahead, and we're meant to honor and respect with dignity and think about the times when we maybe need to have a little bit of rest. We need to have faith that if we know that we won't do anything to tend to our land every 7th year, that we will be provided for. That means you won't plant crops, you won't reap crops, you're just going to do nothing for that year. And we're talking about a time when, Joseph helped the Pharaoh because there were famines and there were all kinds of problems. So you have to have faith that this, that you're going to be provided for. We have to have faith in our own ability to work hard, prepare, and save for that time that is surely coming. Sound familiar to anybody? Especially right now. We have to be proactive, but we also have to be willing to let go when the time comes to rest. This is true for Shabbat, the sabbatical year, and even the Jubilee year, when the slaves and the land procured from distress are to be released and set free, and all encumbrances are null and void. Kind of hard to believe. Don't we wish that we got a mortgage on this building and in 50 years it was given back to us? We're going to pay ours off, though, long before 50 years. Anyway, in ancient times, if you were a slave owner, it would take a lot of faith to do this, knowing that work still needs to be done, crops are going to need to be tended to, the land that you enjoyed may actually no longer be yours. Kabbalist Karen Berg says of this parsha, in the portion of Behar, the Creator teaches the Israelites that for His light to enter their lives, they must be willing to let go and create such a space. The Creator speaks to Moses, telling him to impart to the Israelites the power of doing less and receiving more. The Creator asks us too this week to step out of the way and create an opening for His light to enter our lives, thus giving us more than we could ever create on our own. Through this process, we become emboldened to know the Creator and allow this beautiful, powerful energy to change our lives, to transform us and the lives of those we love and our world for the better. Let the Creator's hand into your life by taking your hand off the wheel. Create space, allowing the light to enter, giving you all that you need. How many are really willing to let go, turn off, and just be? It's not so easy, is it? And that's really what Shabbat is all about. We have the ability to manifest light or to dwell in the darkness. The choice is ours. Do you know anyone who creates a lot of negativity all the time? And then when you're around them, sometimes that schmutz gets on you. So we have to be willing to surround ourselves with positivity. When negative, doubtful thoughts come into your own being, push them away, acknowledge them, but then turn to the light, turn to something positive. When we have faith in our Creator, or even faith in ourselves, we create the space for all that light to dwell, to fill up our vessel, and to be willing to truly accept and receive times of rest. It takes faith to be willing to let go, let God, to be willing to release that which we are hanging so tightly onto, and to be willing to accept that we have a responsibility for one another to prepare for the future, knowing that at some point we will need to release and be set free. How many times have you tried to truly rest, even fall asleep, when your mind is spinning and spinning and you're saying to yourself, I gotta go to sleep, looking at the clock and it's just ticking away. We need to stop that tape and we need to breathe and we need to just try to go with it. Our Judaic structure is very mindful of time. Our seasons and our lives are guided by it. Yet, we are commanded to refresh, to rest and renew, and then we are also commanded to give back. So we replenish ourselves, we give even our land a rest, but then we fortify and we go forward, and hopefully with that renewal, we can give more and be more. So by doing less, we will receive more. As you go through this Shabbat, think about ways in which you can foster, create times of rest, where you can really let go and enjoy the harvest of your labors. Also, think about those and things you might hold on to that need to be set free, even situations, especially at this time of Mercury retrograde and the counting of the Omer. So may you have a Shabbat of rest renewal, and may you do less and receive more. Shabbat Shalom. So now we are going to take all of our energy that we have manifested and send out a prayer of healing, the Misha Barak, if you turn to page 371. If you draw in your mind's eye to all of those that you love that need a boost of energy, of healing in their body, in their spirit, and we want to send this out to them. We have many in our community that are at home recovering from surgeries, people around the world that are in need of this spiritual uplifting and boost. So draw your loved ones to your mind's eye, say them in your being, see them, send them your love and our collective spirit. Misha Barak on page 371. Misha Barak Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Behar Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say And now we're going to call forward the Friedman family, the Sherman family, and Harriet Allen. You want to come up with them? And but first, Nancy's going to say a few words. All of you get yourselves ready, and then the whole family can come up. And Lynn, if you want to come up too, since you gave the tribe. So Nancy's going to share some words on behalf of everyone. A fly on the wall. Bud's with us. Of course he's with us.
Hello. Testing. Okay. Hi. So, as I stand here today, I know how fortunate we all were to have my dad in our lives. There's not enough time to express the influence he had on the entire Friedman family. And we've already done we've all made speeches already at his funeral, so we're just going to kind of sum this up with a couple little paragraphs. The first thing I did, as you all know, my dad is the patriarch of our family, and so what I did was I reached out to all 8 of his grandkids and asked them to give me an adjective to describe my dad. 1, 2, or 3. Of course, some of them did 4, 5, or 6, but so I just assembled them, and I just wanted to share with you that between the 8 of them, this is most of the ones they came up with, and only one of them was a duplicate. Charismatic, compassionate, energetic, engaging, reliable, selfless, dedicated, loving, humble, committed, kind, generous, live life to the fullest, family man, selfless, honest, caring, genuine, smart, strategic, direct, funny, sweet, fair-minded, devoted, hardworking, and organized. So their lists, of course, would go on, but as I said, we limited it. And then besides the family, which was everything to my dad, Judaism and temple life were at the top of his priorities. My dad came from a long chain of traditions and teachings, and tonight we're all here as we share this heritage together. We are so happy to be here with you. I feel his presence and know he is taking great pleasure in sharing the Shabbat festivities with us. Judaism teaches us to stand on the shoulders of those that came before us, for they have successfully carried on the teachings of our people, bringing the richness of our religion and culture to another generation. We are links in a chain, imbued with the same responsibility to pass the teachings of our people down to our children and grandchildren as well. My dad instilled in us this responsibility, and that each of us is obligated to make a difference. Tonight, on behalf of the entire Friedman family, we thank Temple Emet for honoring my dad. He would be humbled by your generosity and love. He was so proud to be a founding member of Temple Emet and shared so many wonderful times with Harriet, Rabbi Didi, and all of the temple members. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And look at what a fine job he did with you. Like, here you are up here. And I'm going to put, hold on, don't leave. I'm going to put this out here while we're on the bima in front of the Torah. We really need them to move into Bud's house, don't you think? And so that, can't you see her up here more often doing things for the temple? But you never know. The Torah is said to be our, steadfast and true. And your dad was very steadfast and true. Like Emet, truth. Like he spoke the truth. He lived his truth. And he shared that with everyone. And he was so, I kept thinking, you're listing off all these adjectives. And I'm like, is she going to get to devoted? Yeah, it was in there, but towards the end. Because that's like, I would say he was so, no, it came. It was like one of the last ones. And when I think of him, I watched how devoted he was to your mother. And how devoted he is to his grandchildren and all of you, and how devoted he was to Harriet, and truly remarkable, like a real example, a real mensch, a real tzaddik. And so it's an honor to be a part of something that he wanted to create, and something that, like, he was one of the first people when I came to the South by. I mean, he was on it. He was devoted to me. We would have breakfast at the original Pancake. Him and Wendy, like the two of them. It was like, Wendy had her list, and and your dad was like, okay, what's really going on? Are you okay? What's happening? So anyway, so thank you for the blessing of sharing your father with us. And thank you to all of you, and most particularly Nancy, you and Jerry, for how you took care of him in the last few years. So now would your whole family come over with Nancy? And I don't know, does anyone else want to say anything over here? Lynn, do you want to come over? We're going to go to the tribe first, which is over here. And so, yeah, you can, the tribe's right there, so you guys might want to gather around there. Lynn, do you want to read what the tribe says since you donated it? Do you want to take the microphone? Okay.
Well, we don't have the plaque ready for the tribe.
We don't?
But I can give you a little history.
Oh, wait, Mark wants to come up and say something. Go ahead, Lynn. First, let Lynn talk more.
Of why we all picked Issachar. And the one thing that really stuck with me that Bud said was it's important, and I'm paraphrasing, to understand the beauty and the meaning of the Hebrew.
Everybody, look where we're pointing. That's where it's going to be.
And Issachar is in honor of scholars. So when I told Nancy that story, she said Issachar would be a wonderful tribe to donate in honor of Bud.
Thank you. Mark, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to kind of apologize because I had checked the board and I thought I had ordered it, but I had checked and there is one up there that Bud provided, okay? Under Joseph.
This is so great. Thank you for pointing
Okay.
it. There's Joseph again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So I will make sure I get the one for Issachar engraved.
Well, the interesting thing about this in the Torah, when something comes up twice in a verse, it's called a rerun, like literally a rerun, and it means it has double importance. So see, we're not going to let go of you. You just have to come back when it's actually up.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it until earlier today, and I already apologize for.
And I can't
for
tell you how many
not
emails
getting
I've
it
gotten.
done
Don't forget
correctly.
they're coming from him and from Diane and Harriet. Is the leaf up?
The leaf is there.
Okay, let's all go over to the leaf. Go that way. Be careful of the leaf is over there on that side. Hold on. Thank you for your delightful pointing. So you'll all turn your attention to the Tree of Life. You can memorialize your loved ones with a tribe or an alephet, and that's on that wall, or a Tree of Life. We have leaves. Some of it, there are more.
So-
It's more taken than you see.
one
A
is
lot of
up.
it's reserved in advance. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Okay, it says, in loving memory of Howard Bud Friedman, July 3rd, 1929 to January 5th, 2022, Temple Emet Board of Trustees.
So we're very grateful for all of you and for him and his love and his light, and he will be there. So thank you. So let us, you know what? I think we should sing Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Siman Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Siman Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Yehei lanu, Yehei lanu, Yehei lanu, Olachot Yisrael. Yehei lanu, Yehei lanu, Olachot Yisrael. Siman Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov and Siman Tov. Yehei lanu. And Mazel Tov, may it be a sign of goodness, a shield of goodness for all time. And that's what your father was, pure goodness. And, may he watch over you and guide you, all of us, the little fly on the wall. May he surround us with the goodness and the light of the heavenly realm and bless us with that as we bless him in the divine with the love that we shared and with honor in his memory. So thank you, all of you, for being here. And now our president is going to come up with some announcements after we do the Elena. Okay, thank you. I'm giving you a chance, putting you on notice. So if you turn in your prayer books, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I have no ego about that, but try looking at 586. Let's see if that's the Elenu. Towards the back on the bottom. Yep, 586, the bottom paragraph as we wrap up our service. Please rise if you're able as the ark is open. Bottom of page 586, onto the next page, top of 588, and then over to 591. Aleinu l'shaveach ladon hakol, lategula leyoser v'reishi, shelo asanu kegei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umadim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser aretz, u'moshev yekaro v'shamayim mima'ah, v'shechinah uzo, ve'gov hei meromim. Hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes ulato, Karkatu v'torato, v'yadata hayom, v'hashevota el levavecha. Ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim rima'o, ve'al haaretz mitachat Einod, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, v'shemo echad. Please be seated, and now our president can come up. And, yeah. See, I was just checking, are we going to do this before the Kaddish? And I have a plan. So what I was thinking is that Diana, adult B'nai Mitzvah person that you are, and president of the synagogue, and Bud was very mindful of synagogue life, lived it with his family, his parents, his father, most particularly gave his life almost in the synagogue. And I think he would like if you and I, as the president and the rabbi, Cantor, both led the Kaddish together in his honor and all those who have moved on. And then you can do your announcement. So please come forward up here if you'd like. And everyone please rise as we turn to page 598. Oh, wait, first before you stand up. If you've lost someone in the last 7 days, please rise. And last 7 days, if someone has passed in your world in the last 7 days, please say their name. If you're home, do that as well. If you've lost someone in the last 30 days, would you please rise and say your loved one's name? If you've lost someone in the last 11 months, please rise and say your loved one's name. And you can say it multiple times. Okay, Lynn?
Stay standing, please. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Robin. Natalie. And if you are observing the yard site, the anniversary of a loved one's death, and you're already standing, raise your hand if you have someone. Elias? Sandra? And you?
Susie and Brother.
And so now together as a community, we all rise if you're able to. And when I say V'Imaru, you can say Amen. Turn to page 598 as we have the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish. I know that. Even if you know it by heart, we should look at the Hebrew because the Hebrew has the power. I'm going to move it over to you. Okay. There we go. 598. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Chirutei Ve'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayei D'chol Beit Yisrael, Va'adala U'vizman Karui V'imru. Yehe Shemei Rabbah Mevarach Le'alam Ulamei Almaya, Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Raman V'yit Naseh, V'yit Hadar V'yit Alev V'yit Halal Shemei D'Kudashah B'richu. Le'ela minko birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alama v'imru. Amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'imromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. The God who is the creator and author of life and death, grant perfect peace to Bud and Essie up there, hopefully having a good time. And a long time from now, others will join, but not for, we're hanging on to everyone for as long as we can. And all the others that need a peaceful eternity, and to those around the world that have lost people, may there be peace in their hearts as well. As together we say, Amen. And now you can see our president is getting ready to speak. But before that, I just want to say one thing. Bud had 8 grandchildren. And the number 8 is actually the number for Mashiach. But it's also when you put 10 and 8 together, the Yud and the Chet, you get 18, which is life, Chai. And you have the 7 days of creation, but when does the circumcision happen? On the 8th day. You need the number 8. You need to go beyond that which is created for it to actually come into existence and to be lived. And that's what Bud did. He lived life, he loved his family, he loved God and Torah, and we all are carrying forward in his light and his legacy. And now, Diane will give you some announcements.
You've been waiting so long. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to all of you here in our building and those at home watching on live stream. And thank you, Mark Tannen, for your work on the live stream. That's wonderful. Those of you who are here for dinner tonight, thank our wonderful Marcia Crabtree for putting it together and for all her helpers who set it up and helped clean up. We really appreciate you. You know, we've got to stop meeting like this 3 days in a row, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Wow. Our service is sponsored by Jerry and Nancy Sherman in honor of placing a leaf on the tree and for Nancy's dad, Bud Friedman. By the way, Nancy, you are definitely your father's daughter. You spoke beautifully, and as you spoke, I could actually hear him in you. Our flowers are sponsored by Steve and Marcia Crabtree in celebration of their anniversary and Steve's birthday. But Marcia's not here, and I would like you to take those flowers home, please. Enjoy them, they're beautiful. Thank you, wonderful Rabbi Cantor Didi. You are truly amazing, you know. She's really good. I thought you did a fantastic job. Thanks to our wonderful music director and pianist, Dan Spector, and our volunteer musicians, Mary Ann on violin and Amy on baritone, ukulele. And oh, Hilda, we do miss you. Come back soon. Tomorrow at 7:30, Dan and company will be presenting their renditions of the works of Jewish composers, the American Songbook. And you can actually reserve tonight and pay $42 a ticket tonight or tomorrow. And desserts and drinks and 50-50 raffle at intermission, and it's going to be terrific. And you don't want to miss it. Well, if you miss it, I'll feel sorry for you, because it's going to be just great. We have over 30 people coming, which is nice. Okay, our next Friday service is June 11, yes? Oh, that's Saturday. First Friday, June 2nd. June 3rd. Well, you see, you know, the older I get, the harder it is to remember what day it is. But, okay, she says it's the 3rd. So if you look at your calendar, if it's a Friday, it's probably the 3rd. Second Saturday, which is June 11th. Okay. We're going to have dinner afterwards. Where? The Romas? Okay. So on Friday, June 3rd, come at 5 o'clock, and we'll go to DeRoma's for dinner afterwards. And Saturday, the 11th, which is the New York Deli afterwards. And that's our last Saturday service for a while, until November 12th. And that lunch will be followed at Truxton's. Oh, we're going to go to the deli. Well, you know, you see why I'm up here, to show you how easy it is to not know anything. Okay. Says Dr. Wolf, yes. We are going to have a pet blessing, though, on October 22nd, right? So save the date and bring your pets. I don't know if I'm going to bring my dogs. They're so rambunctious these days. But anyway, our next lunch bunch, in case you want to know, is at King's Hawaiian on June 8 at 12:30. And let me know if you're joining. Did I forget anything?
I think you hit all of the pertinent
I tried
points.
really hard to remember everything.
Oh,
it's
wait, Dan
getting-
has something to say.
Dan
you
has
want the
something.
microphone, Dan? Come get the microphone. No one will hear it on the live stream.
Oh, well, can you hear me on live stream?
How would we know?
I just want to say that on the flyer, there is someone not mentioned
No,
who will be
here, you need to, Dan, if someone isn't going to not mentioned on the flyer, they
There
need
will
to
be
be
a
mentioned in the
special-
service.
There will be a special guest playing that is not mentioned on the flyer. Playing what? Oh, an instrument of some sort. Which instrument? It's somewhere between the top of an orchestral score and the bottom. The top is
It's
the
a-
flutes
yes,
and
it's
the
a
piccolos.
real surprise.
Down here is the string bass. So somewhere in there's an instrument that will be represented tomorrow night. A special.
You gotta come. There it is.
Yes.
Dan, I'm looking forward to it. And if I don't like it,
And Dan, I've rearranged my whole life so I can be there.
She did.
Yes.
Dee Dee is going to be there. Natalie, we have a sponsor. Oh, my goodness, the desserts? The service. Oh, yes, Marianne, in celebration of Dan's concert. She made a donation in honor of your concert tomorrow. Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It was right there, too.
It was
it's
right
the
there.
lights up here. It's very tough.
but it's
really
not
tough.
just that, it's the brain is not always working the way it's supposed to, but I'm not going to complain.
Although Marianne is a true high hill because she has been giving a lot of donations lately. She sponsored the last few services.
I know. For those of you,
Brian as well was mentioned in that.
and for Brian too, she sponsored in honor
That's
of
right,
Brian's
Brian.
help. Marianne, thank you so much. So for those of you whose brain is in the same condition as mine, forgive yourselves. You see, it's so easy to have.
Good brain, Diane.
You have a
Good
brain.
brain.
All right, on that
Shabbat
note,
shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. So if you're able to, please rise. We're going to bless one another with the Birkat Kohanim, which on June 11th, Diana was really focused on that, is in that Torah portion, and Crystal Holtz will be chanting it. So if you're ready, you can bless each other. You can stand if you want, or not. You can put your arm around someone next to you, or not. You at home, give yourself a hug, or someone next to you. May God bless you and keep you. May God's countenance shine upon you. May God be with you always and grant you peace. And at this Parsha Bahar, may God give us the ability to truly embrace rest. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Came here at Zion, may it be God's will. Shabbat shalom. And what is our closing piece? Adon Olam, page 625. You want to stay up? You want to stay up here for Adon Olam? Okay. Page 625. And Stan is giving you a warm-up for tomorrow night's musical talents. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yetzir Nivra, V'eit Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה אשר מלך בטרם כה יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כה אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה ותפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כה יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כה אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה. Shabbat shalom. Thank you everyone who participated. Thank you to the whole family. Thank you.